Mr. Harmer, my question was that if elected, would you support legislation to eliminate earmarks and to balance the federal budget?
Thank you very much. Yes, and yes. On earmarks, I have already signed Citizens Against Government Waste's No Pork pledge. One of my first endorsements was from Congressman Jeff Flake. Thanks for the applause. One of my first endorsements was from Congressman Jeff Flake, who is the leading opponent in the U.S. House of Representatives of earmarking. Earmarks are the gateway drug to federal spending. People say, oh, earmarks, it doesn't matter, it's just 1 or 2% of the federal budget. Well, first of all, that's a heck of a lot of money. That's a lot of people's earnings that you're talking about. But more importantly, earmarking is what leads to this legalized bribery using taxpayer dollars. Members of Congress agreeing to funnel projects to each other's districts that just have an uncanny way of enriching campaign contributors and an uncanny way of depleting a federal treasury that is already empty. So I'm very comfortable restating my public commitment to oppose earmarks. If you're looking for a congressman whose claim to fame is he brings home the bacon, the taxpayers are onto that game. I mean, the idea that you take our money, filter it through the bureaucracy, direct a little back here and expect to be applauded for it, that's not me. If that's the game you want, go for the other guy. Thanks very much.
Okay, next question is from Mark Forget from Stockton.
Thank you. I agree, and I believe that the solution, with you, and believe the solution to the current situation is to replace the politicians with representatives. In this regard, I'm recalled recently of the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the wannabe governor, Attorney General Jerry Brown's decision not to appeal the decision that was handed down finding that Prop 8 was unconstitutional. So, as our representative, I'm sure you recognize that it's possible that situations may arise that present a potential conflict between people and the population in the Bay Area versus the San Joaquin County area or the Valley area. And in this regard, I've heard the Burger King example several times, but I've never heard you give us an example of the Stockton area. And I would appreciate if you could find one and show that combining an identity to our community. But in any case, if you're confronted with one of these decisional conflicts between the Bay Area and the Valley here, I was wondering if you'd please explain your approach, methodology, and the rationale that you would use to work out this conflict and resolve it. I think that's a cardinal characteristic of a true representative, and I'd like to see how you'd exemplify that.
Sure. First of all, let me give you a couple of examples from San Joaquin County. Yesterday I was talking to John Ledbetter. If he could pick up his wine grapevines and replant them in Reno, he'd do it tomorrow. Doing business here is hard. It's especially hard for irrigated agriculture. He's got huge labor problems to worry about. He's got tax problems to worry about. He's got a hostile state regulatory climate. He's got Clean Water Act and Clean Air Act issues to worry about. And this is a guy who loves the land and takes good care of it and is trying to do the right thing and is being harassed on every side. I can't tell you how many almond growers, walnut growers have said if they could replant their trees in Arizona or Texas, they'd start tomorrow. I mean, they can. They've got not just their capital, they've got generations of family history invested here. But the idea that we're forcing people to want to leave these rich and fertile and beautiful lands to go to deserts just because they're allowed to raise their crops there without being driven out of business is reprehensible. How would I make decisions when one side of the district differs from the other? Well, in the first place, I don't treat people as parochial representatives of distinct geographical communities. All of us are, first of all, Americans. All of us face the same overwhelming problems right now. I mean, the top problem in San Joaquin County is the same as the top problem in Santa Clara, is the same as the top problem in Alameda, is the same as the top problem in Contra Costa. And that is, we've got a government that's exploding and a private sector that is shrinking, or at best stagnant. I mean, it's time to flip that on its head. It's time to stop growing the government and stop growing the economy. I don't perceive any hostility between the two sides of the district on that issue. Now, if there is someday a local interest where one part of the district differs from the other. The oath I'm going to take is to the Constitution of the United States. So we look first to the Constitution. We look second to the principles that inform it. We look third to the will of the people. If you end up with, I can't imagine an issue that divides the two sides. I really can't. On water, when I talked to water board members on both sides of the hill, they had the same concerns about accessibility and quality. Frank?
Mr. Harper, your next door neighbor says yes on an issue. I'm in Stockton, I say no. Approach, methodology, and rationale. How are you going to resolve your neighbor saying yes and me saying no?
I'm not running a public opinion poll. I mean, I look to the Constitution and the oath I've taken. I look to my own principles and values.
Got to move on. Next question is from Ben Tice from Manteca. Ben's right back here.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I want to resolve a question I had. I really like your fiscal policies, but is safety in an unsafe world more important than our unalienable constitutional rights that the last two administrations have sort of chipped away at?
Of course not. The whole point of the Bill of Rights is it's intended to protect individual rights that will come under pressure from majoritarian impulses. And so it is precisely those rights that seem unpopular or inconvenient that must be protected.
Next, Peter Hallberg from here, Manteca.
There are a lot of issues happening, but one with Arizona, we have the problem of illegal immigration. And I was just wondering, would you support a full border fence along the entire border? The whole thing's kind of be redefined. I know about this.
Short answer, yes. Longer answer. Let me be the first to admit that when Republicans had the majority before, they blew it. They squandered the opportunity, and I think they deserve to lose their majority. But one of the things they did right was that they mandated construction of a fence along much of the border. That was interrupted by the change in control, and parts of it were replaced with a virtual fence, which is now catching jackrabbits and tumbleweeds, but not actually preventing people from coming into the country illegally. So yeah, I think the physical barrier, especially it's worked in the areas where it's been implemented. Look at the before and after pictures along the San Diego County line, it's been very effective.
I like to call it virtual fence convention.
Agreed.
Can you get back up then?
Oh, it's okay, I wasn't there.
You can be back.
No, this guy's telling me I'm not allowed to film at all here. Why is your thug trying to threaten me?
I'm not threatening you.
What, can you just tell me what was going to happen to me if I continue filming?
I said, come on.
And what was going to happen to me?
I didn't say anything was going to happen to you.
Well, what is going to happen to me?
Can you just go to the back, please? Can you go to the back, please?
I'd be happy to. Do you have anything to do filming here?
Well, I'm not sure quite what that issue is all about. I can tell you part of what happens is the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee sends trackers wherever I go to try and take video and take things out of context. And I don't know if this person is one of them or not, but for the record, we don't do that. I'm running for something, not against someone. I want people to compare the records of the two candidates. We're not trying to take unflattering photographs of the other guy. Frank?
Next question is from Harlan Perry, who's running for mayor of Manteca. Harlan? Harlan, thanks. Harlan, you're up. Harlan.
Hey, all politics is local, so I have a question that, what personal quality do you have that will